Hey everybody, it's Eri from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. This video is short, sweet, to the point. I want to talk about the new proposed KYC, Know Your Customer, for using the self-custody wallets. That would be something like Ledger or the Treasury and others. FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, a bureau of the U.S. Department of Treasury, that builds this global cooperation through the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, put out a 72-page proposed rulemaking notice for moving digital assets if one of these self-custody wallets are involved. And the public only has until January 4th to submit their comments. It's a total rush job. Usually there is at least 60 days. But when you look at what is involved, it has a good side and it has a bad side, as all things do. And as this space matures, you are seeing that the freedom of choice to maneuver in this space is slowly getting smaller and smaller. Now, I want to have just a tiny mini rant. For those YouTubers that were talking about how this was going to bring some clarity to XRP, I have always been saying from the beginning, it is not. That is not going to come from the US Treasury. That's going to come from the SEC. So those people who were getting your hopes up, shame on them. I get a little frustrated with what is put out there because this didn't have anything to do with that. And I do think I said that on numerous occasions in some previous videos, and where I got the information from was first from Brian Armstrong of Coinbase. He obviously had a little birdie in his ear tell him what was coming down the pipe. So these MSBs and banks, money service businesses, this is anybody who is like a check casher or an exchange, anyone who is moving money no matter what method. And that includes the U.S. Post Office. So they're going to have to get your name and your physical address to verify your identity of the transaction if you are using one of these unhosted wallets. And that will be in any amount over 3,000 US dollars. So the banks and the MSBs, they'll be required to keep the records of those transactions. It's what's called a monetary instrument log. Just adds more work, adds more complexity, adds more layers of bureaucracy to this whole industry. And then any transaction over $10,000, you have to actually file this separate report that will be even more work. So certain circumstances, investigators, they're going to be able to analyze blockchain activity, and they are going to do their darndest to find any illicit activity. Now, I want to weigh in on my thoughts. Of course, there is a good side and a bad side. The bad side is for the businesses that are actually in the Bitcoin ATMs. They're going to have to change their thresholds and their requirements. And in regards to the black market is going to flourish. There are going to be people who are going to offer these workarounds to skirt around the system, and they're going to take large cuts of your cryptocurrency. So I think that it puts more risk into the ecosystem. And money laundering, those who want to money launder are going to find a way. It's going to drive them now even deeper. Positive side, it's going to bolster the confidence to participate in the crypto ecosystem by regulatory-minded and compliant financial institutions. That is, without a doubt, a positive. And I think it's also going to increase the price of all crypto. Why? Because anytime you restrict freedom of choice, that is good for crypto. The news broke today, and I can tell you that the lips of BTC are still locked in that $23,000 French kiss. Yet this $23,000 range is feeling very comfortable for Bitcoin. Now, the institutional investors, they love this new proposed ruling. And we can see that the Bitcoin dominant 65.39%. That is telling me that it is up slightly. compared to yesterday when we didn't have this news. So there isn't any money fleeing out of Bitcoin. And I don't think you're going to see any money flee out of Bitcoin anytime soon because of this new ruling. But it is going to be just more difficult and more complex and more of a pain in the butt to be one of those MSBs or banks because it just is another layer of bureaucracy. If you decide to stay in this space, get used to the rules because as you can see here in this particular discussion that CoinDesk is bringing forth, Coinbase going public could let the SEC dictate which tokens get listed. And Billy Bambra published his article today on Forbes. He's very often contributing as a Forbes writer. He has something very interesting to say, and I hope people are paying attention, and that is that there are these minor cryptocurrencies, which he refers to as XRP, Litecoin, and Ethereum. It's kind of funny that they're minor. They are in the top 10, but he says that their gains are dwarfing those of Bitcoin. Yes, it is true. The numbers don't lie. How much exactly? Well, quite a bit. Over the past 30 days, BTC is up 28%, Ethereum up 35%, Litecoin up 45%, and XRP is still up 93%. So we have to give credit where credit is due. And yes, that credit does go to Bitcoin. I want to play for you just 2 minutes of a segment of Dan Doloff. He's with Mizuho Securities. They are in Japan, and they did a survey, and Bitcoin is truly becoming a vehicle to boost engagement. And when you listen to how it is affecting people on PayPal, listen to this: 20% of people who are now engaged with Bitcoin on PayPal are trading. That is incredible. And the apps in the future, near future, they're going to be the center of our financial life. So have a listen to this.
Let's bring in Dan Doloff. He covers the payment stocks at Mizuho. Dan, great to speak with you.
Thanks, Melissa. It was a pleasure being on the show.
Help us to understand how we should regard Bitcoin as a part of these stocks businesses, specifically PayPal and Square. I would imagine it's a small percentage of revenues. It's quickly growing, and yet the big percentage of the gains in the stock have been driven by this Bitcoin rally.
Exactly. So we've actually done a lot of survey work. And what we've done on PayPal specifically is we've surveyed almost 400 users of PayPal. And what we found out is that almost 20% of the users have started trading Bitcoin. And we think of Bitcoin not as the Bitcoin revenue itself, but actually as the vehicle to boost engagement on the app. So we actually think about engagement as a driver of revenue growth, not as an output of revenue. And what you're seeing is that 50% of the people that use Bitcoin have actually reported an increase in engagement. So what that does, that means that those people are actually going to use more and more products and services that PayPal is offering. It's going to make PayPal more the center of their financial life. Same thing for Square, by the way. So Bitcoin by itself is a way to boost engagement, and that's what came out of our survey.
Dan, it's Karen. Thanks for coming on our show. I think you know my sister from the payment space. So how big do you think this could ultimately be? I mean, I feel like we're at the beginning, a very frothy beginning maybe, but how big do you think this could be to PayPals and Squares of the world?
I think this is the inflection point, and I think it's a great question. I think in 2021, we're going to hit that inflection point where basically those apps are going to become the center of people's financial lives. And the reason for that, the trigger, the impetus is Bitcoin. And that just creates a massive flocking of people to those apps. And then they do more and more things with those apps. So I think this is a huge game changer for those apps. I totally understand why the stocks have reacted very positively. But, we think they're all headed towards those, 300 marks. So I think this is just the beginning of this big Bitcoin trade for both of them.
Well, I think, it's definitely thanks to Bitcoin and bringing up everyone else in the space. We do need to see that, according to Ripple, they have put out their article today that 2020 was the year of the digital asset. Yeah, I think you could also say 2020 was also the year of many inflection points. 2021 is going to be so exciting. I'm very, very thankful I'm in this space. It is so interesting. I'm going to cover this particular article in a little bit more depth in a following video because I'm going to close this one out, but I do want to point out that my friend Eagle, who is in this space, he has released his hip-hop rap song about the blockchain space in the Apple Music app, and I think you can download it for 99 cents. If you sign in, you can get it done. I think if you listen to it, you'll really find it has that addictive sound that just runs through your head, and it's very, very good. I want to thank him very much. You can find him out on Twitter or on the YouTube channel at the Blockchain Monkeyz. Yeah, thanks, Eagle. I just love this song. And for the fluff, I was going to take you to some images that you see this time of year that's very representative of the season in Japan. And first, if you go to the southern part of the country, these poinsettias grow like a weed. And I don't know if you've ever seen a poinsettia in the natural setting where it just grows naturally. It looks like this, and it is so beautiful. It looks very different than what you buy in the potted plants for this time of year. But they have a climate in Japan here that's conducive to the plant to be able to go all 4 seasons and thrive. So this is the first of 5 images that represent the season here in Japan. This is, of course, the sparkling wine Kit Kat. This comes out every time we have getting close to New Year's. And then this is Hatsune Miku. She is an anime Vocaloid. She has moved her concerts online. She always has a Christmas concert. The young girls in Japan just love her. So you see a lot of her this time of year. And the illuminations, Japan is just in love with its illuminations. This is the one that you see on top of the hill in Roppongi, looking towards the Tokyo Tower. It's one of the pretty ones, but there are just probably 100 illuminations in the country that even outdo this one. This just happens to be a good one because I think it has such an unobstructed view of the tower. And then, yeah, forget the Christmas tree. Just put Godzilla up in the department store. That works for me. And the last one is Kentucky Fried Chicken, which they call Kentucky here. Kentucky is the official Christmas Eve dinner. Don't ask me why. Well, I can tell you it's a long story, but it's basically a very successful marketing campaign. And people not only stand in line, but they pre-order their chicken because it's that popular in Japan for Christmas Eve. All right, everybody. Yes, do take care. I'll have another video following shortly today. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.